Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Awaken Your Spirit Presents Divine Numerology. We're your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia. And today we're going to be talking about time cycles. And this is part 3. So stay tuned.
Welcome, everybody, to Divine Numerology. On today's episode, we are excited to be going through part 3, which is of time cycles. And we're going to be talking about your personal day. We've talked about how to calculate your life path number. We've talked about how to calculate your personal year, your personal month. And we're going to bring our co-host, Darius Oliver, on just shortly. And we're going to talk about how to calculate your personal day and what that means to you. Before we bring him on and get into our topic of the day, we're going to start off with a personal reading from Veronica.
So today I have a reading, and I was inspired by, last week's conversation with Darius of chapter 16 of Autobiography of a Yogi. This is the book. So for those of you who haven't read this, it's an awesome book if you're looking into, something of, spirituality and awakening consciousness. This is a perfect book to start. So this is a part of chapter 16, and it actually talks about astrology. It says, astrology is the study of man's response to planetary stimuli. The stars have no conscious benevolence or animosity. They merely send forth positive and negative radiations. Of themselves, these do not help or harm humanity, but offer a lawful channel for the outward operation of cause and effect, equilibriums that each man has set into motion in the past. A child is born on that day, and at that hour, when the celestial rays are in mathematical harmony with his individual karma. His horoscope is a challenging portrait, revealing his unalterable past and probable future results. But the natal chart can be rightly interpreted only by men of intuitive wisdom. These are few. The message boldly blazoned across the heavens at the moment of birth is not meant to emphasize fate, the result of past good and evil, but to arouse man's will to escape from his universal thraldom. What he has done, he can undo. None other than himself was the instigator of the causes of whatever effects are now prevalent in his life. He can overcome any limitation, because he created it by his own actions in the first place, and because he possesses spiritual resources that are not subject to planetary pressure.
Interesting.
And there's a lot more in there, but that's just a brief little thing about, the chapter 16 about the stars and
it's such a fascinating book, and that was the book that really got us into a lot of our study and our teaching. In fact, the Autobiography of a Yogi, it was said to be the only book that Steve Jobs had on his iPad, because he studied that so much, and Yogananda's teachings. He was the one that really brought yoga meditation to the West back in the 1920s. And just how his organization is really spread throughout his teachings. And it's something that we follow. And it's where I always tell people, if you're ever going to look into his work, start with the Autobiography of a Yogi. And if you feel inspired, he has so many other works that you can get into that go even more in depth. But that's always the first one we always recommend.
Yeah. So for those of you who want to know the name again or to see the picture, here it is again, Autobiography of a Yogi.
And just look it up. It's all over. So if you guys enjoy that, give us some hearts, give us some likes here into the feed. We are live here on this show, Divine Numerology, every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. If you guys want to get reminded each time we go live, make sure you turn on the live notification buttons here in the feed if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, just subscribe to the channel and turn on that little bell notification so you always know when we post up a new video. All right. So we're going to get into our numbers today. And we're going to bring on our special co-host, Darius Oliver, who is our resident expert numerologist, who's going to share his knowledge and his wisdom with you guys on all of these subjects and topics. So let's bring him here into the show.
All right. Hey, Darius.
Oh, I got him on mute. There you are.
All right, cool, man. Now I can talk. Got it. You gave me a voice. So yeah, good morning.
Huh? Good morning.
What'd you say before that?
I said you may speak now.
Okay, I think my mic was still muted. No, I'm joking. No. So yeah, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
And thanks to everybody for tuning in as well. I really like that what you read from Autobiography of a Yogi, that excerpt, because I was actually talking to a friend about that a few days ago, and it's really important that people know that the kind of astrology that he's talking about is not just the regular astrology we have in the West. It's the Vedic astrology, which is the most accurate of the astrology studies. And from that perspective, my friend was asking, hey, well, isn't astrology about like the planets and fate and destiny? Like, what role does that have? And not to go too deep into it, because that's not this type of show, but in astrology, there's at least 4 different types of karmas. Some that must be fulfilled, and then some that we can change when we have divine help, when we have help from the divine. And in that book, Yogananda gives an example, if for those that are like, whoa, well, how does that, how do you outwit the stars? In that book, he actually talks about a prediction that was given to him at an earlier age, and what he did to kind of alter things in a way that suited his chosen path. So for those that are interested in finding out how they could outwit the stars, definitely check that out. And meaning of outwitting the stars, you can think of it like this too, because this will also relate to the numbers, in the sense that they're influenced by similar principles, in the sense that even the planets govern and influence numbers, you see. So that being the case, the one that created astrology, what the whole purpose of it is to help a person to get closer to the divine, to get close to God, to have self-knowledge and self-realization, and to help one have that throughout their life. But think of the planets as like the managers. They're just a manager, and they're so if you have an issue with a planet, you're not just going to go to the manager. You'll get to a certain point. If you go to the manager, he'll be able to do something. People do what are called pujas. They'll do like ceremonies to strengthen their relationship with a certain planet. But if you want to really get something done, you're going to go to the supervisor. You're going to go to the one that hired the manager. Mm-hmm. That is the way that you outwit the stars. You go to Source, the creator of the planets. Whatever you call that, whether you call that Jesus, God, universe, astrology rests on it, says that Vishnu was the one who put the planets in their place, where they installed them, instilled them. And so everyone has a different association with what they call Source, but that is one you'll see. So if you check out that book, for those that are watching, you'll be able to see what Yogananda's approach was to that, and how that related to his ability to outwit the stars, right? But yeah, that's my take. I'm really glad that you mentioned that in the opening.
Yeah, after last week, I had gone over that chapter again, and I'm like, oh, I need to read something from this chapter for next week. So
There you go. Yogananda. I want to say hello to a few people that are joining with us. We have Tiffany Cook says, I'm here. Let's do this.
Hey, Tiffany.
There you go. She's like, let's go.
Robert Shallow says, good afternoon, all. Good morning,
Hey,
Robert Shallow. Tiffany also says, very interesting. And that thing was with the reading. Yeah. And thank you, Robert, for sharing. And for those of you who find this information fascinating, you know that there's anybody that can benefit from the teachings that we share here and any information, please share this with people because we never know who this might help. And then Tiffany says, hi, Darius.
Hey, what's up, Tiffany? Good to see you.
If you guys have any comments, any questions you have for us or for Darius, make sure you put those here into the comment feed and we will get to those throughout the show because you will have questions and we want to be able to answer those for you.
Especially when it comes to numbers. Sometimes it can be a little confusing for some people.
But we try to keep it as simple as we can. That's why we go very, very slow here on the show. And each show is going to be a progression on top of the next. And that's why we're doing this last part of time cycles, which is we're going to be talking about your personal day today. So what we've been covering over the last couple episodes, if you haven't seen those, make sure you go back to our page at Aaron and Veronica, and you'll be able to see the previous episodes that we've done where we talked about your life path, how to calculate that. And we'll briefly cover that today. Of how to do that. We talked about how to calculate your personal year, what that means, your personal month, and what each month may represent for you. And now today we're going to talk about the day. So you're going to have a whole list of tools and knowledge of how to go about your every day-to-day life. And you can do that based on the numbers.
Yep.
All right.
Yes, you can.
So why don't we do just a brief recap for people before we get into the personal day, just in case someone's watching here for the first time, they have no idea what we're talking about, or if we've gone too far ahead. It's like when we watch those series on TV and before the beginning of the show, today, let's talk about what happened last time.
And you missed the first couple episodes or something.
Yeah, so you guys can catch up. So
Awesome.
we're gonna we put together something for you guys, which is more of a visual, so you guys can see that. So we're gonna improve this show every single time that we do that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to calculate these numbers. Okay.
Awesome. Last time on Divine Numerology. So what we spoke about. So for those that are tuning in and you never heard of numerology, numerology is the study of the numbers. It basically rests on the premise all numbers have a meaning. The universe is governed by laws. One of the laws is vibration. Numbers reveal the different nature of vibrations to us. Every number has a meaning. 1 is confidence, creativity. 2 is cooperation and balance. 3 is expression and sensitivity. 4 is structure, stability. 5 is freedom. 6 is love. 7 is internalization and spirituality and science. 8 is connection and power and abundance. 9 is wisdom, integrity, and altruistic leadership or philanthropy. So each one of these numbers has a meaning. And we showed you what a life path was. That's what you're here to learn in this lifetime, your script. We showed you something called a timeline, which is a fixed period of time that shows you certain themes that will play out during your life path and when they'll be activated, when they'll start and when they'll stop. So the one that we're talking about, a timeline right now that lasts for 1 year, right? That's called the personal year. Then we spoke about something called the personal month. That's a time cycle that lasts for 1 month. So now we're going to talk about what is a personal day, which is a cycle that lasts for 1 day. And that's what happened. That's what we spoke about in the last few episodes. So going right into that, when you once you find out what your life path is and you find out what your personal year is by adding up your personal day of birth, you're going to add your day of birth to your month of birth. Okay. Then you're going to add that to the current year that you're experiencing. Then you're going to add that to the current month that you're experiencing. Extra points if you can guess what the thing we add to get the personal day. So I think you guys already know.
You guys know what that is.
Yeah. If you guys know, extra credit from me. I'll give you extra credit.
I wonder what it is.
So if you said that it was you add the universal day to get the personal day number, then you're correct.
Okay.
So you add those numbers together and you reduce it all to a single digit, just like we do in any type of calculation in numerology. And then you look at the meaning of that number, and that will give you an idea of what you may experience in that day, what type of energy, what the environment might be like around you, and how to kind of prepare or adjust to what you might experience that day.
Okay. So then let's give people a visual. So let's go over just briefly all the previous calculations that we've done, so people know how to find what is their life path number, what is their personal year number, their personal month, and then we'll go over the personal day, just so people can follow along with how they do that calculation. So I'm gonna pull up something here on the screen so we can see this. I'm gonna take this down here, and let's share this. Okay, so we'll walk you guys through this, and then Darius, you fill in anything that we need to know. So in that life path calculation, let me bring this over here. There we go. You're going to add up your birth date. And now what you've said and you mentioned to us is normally here in the West, we calculate our day based on you add in the month, the day, and then the year.
Right.
But you mentioned to us something different, that you want to actually put the day first, then the month, followed by the year, correct?
Yes. And the way to think about that is little hand, middle hand, big hand. 3 hands on a clock. Second hand is first. Minute hand is second. Hour hand is last.
So that makes sense, because like the day is like, it's short, it's 24 hours. The month is 30 days, and then the year is it's the biggest one. So so that's the order that we would add everything.
So here's an example. So you might think this might be December 5th, 1974, but it's actually the 12th of May, 1974. So that's how you would write this number. And
exactly.
So when you do the calculation now, and Darius has explained this to us in depth, is you take each of those and you add every single number up, which would look exactly like this.
Exactly.
So take that 1 plus the 2 plus the 0 plus the 5, and you just go all those numbers, and you're going to come up with a number of 29.
And then that would be the life path number, but then you add the 2 and the 9.
Because you want to reduce it to a single digit, correct?
Yes.
So then we do this. So 2 plus 9 equals 11. We still need to reduce that. So 1 plus 1 equals 2. So now that would mean that your life path number would be a 2 if that would be your birth date.
Right. And beautiful illustration right here, because it gives me something to comment on. So for some people watching, they've been instructed to never add a master number together. In the case of that 11, some people have been taught that you're not supposed to do that. And if they follow that line, that's fine. There's instances where you do add the master number, because what it does is it just gives you more of a vibration to see what is all there. It just gives you the full picture. It doesn't mean that 11 number is not active. It means that you're gaining the full perspective to give accuracy and greater clarity to the reading.
Okay. So that would be how you calculate your life path number. So make sure you guys take a screenshot of that. I even think Tiffany put it down here into the comments as well. So she's doing exactly the same thing. We just put in more of a visual for you guys here. And so here's a question before we move on. So you mentioned the 11 was a master number. And then we were going to ask this, but Tiffany asked it, what are the master numbers?
Ooh. Cool. Good question. All right. So master numbers are repeating numbers. You can have a double digit. We call them binary master numbers. You can have triple digit, like 111. Those are trinary. You can have 4 digits, which is quaternary. Like those. Sometimes you'll walk somewhere and you see 2222. Like if you have military time on your phone or your watch, you'll get 2222, or you'll have 1111. I see 1111. Those are like the 4-digit master numbers, quaternary, because it's 4. Master number, what is it? It's a higher vibration of a number, meaning it takes that energy and elevates it, expands it. It's master in that it has greater capacity to do more with that energy. You see a lot of master numbers when you look at famous people, celebrities, people that, like, Bill Gates has different master numbers in certain areas. You can have people like Elvis, Steve Jobs, people, and there's 11. It goes all the way from 22, 33, 44, 55, and all these things up to 99. Now here's this. Master numbers, every number, here's what's really important. There's always a light and there's always a shadow to every number. There's never a good or bad in the number. No number is good or bad, okay? Because it depends on other factors in that. A master number can be a master number, or it can be a monster number.
Ooh, master.
So, right, because it has such a high vibration and a high capacity to do things on a massive level. Everyone has master numbers somewhere. Somewhere they have some master number hiding in their chart, and the key is finding out where that is. So just to answer that question for you, Tiffany.
So here's one more quick question, and we'll move on to calculate all the other things so we can get onto the month. But since we're talking about master numbers, Robert says, what does seeing 1111 or 111 mean? I see these numbers consistently.
Cool. Put it simply, it means welcome to the club. It means you want the red pill or the blue pill. And it's where an energetic gateway is open to you. Which path do you want to take? You want to keep on going down this path? Want to go down the rabbit hole, Alice? That's basically what it's saying. It's also saying, hey, what are you thinking about right now? Do you like that? All right, if you do, good. Keep thinking about it, because you're going to have more of that. Oh, you don't like that? Okay, well, change it so that you can have what you want. That's also that. So whenever you see, that's a good comment Tiffany put about the red pill. So whenever you see that number frequency, pay attention to what your thoughts are, and also pay attention to what your surroundings are. Pay attention to what you might be listening to, if you're like listening to radio or some music, so that you have an idea of what's coming your way.
So it's like an awareness, like when you see it, like you're aware that you're seeing these numbers. So now it's like, okay, what am I thinking? What am I listening to? What am I observing?
Mm-hmm. So it's an awareness, like a reminder, like a chime or on your phone. Like, hey, there's a chime. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a post. There's a new email. There's a new, someone's going live here on Facebook or on YouTube. It's kind of like that in our life. It's a chime or reminder. Let us know, hey, take a pause. What's going on in your mind? What are you thinking about? Which direction are you about to go in? So it's a great way to have some self-reflection or introspection. That's what we've at least used them for. And we started seeing these all the time. We see the clocks like 1111. I can't tell you how many license plates that we see that end in like a 3 number, 333, 444, 111. It's so many. In fact, you're talking about the 2222. We had seen that. We were driving on the road and saw a patrol car with those numbers on the top of the hood, and just big bold numbers, 2222. And we're like, isn't that interesting? So it's just more like pay attention. Yep.
And also, we also call them angel numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your angels are, letting you know that they're around you.
Yeah, that's what I or with that.
Depending on other factors, like maybe it's a 4, maybe it's a 3. That's ascended masters, and then 4 has to do with angels being around you. 1111 is angelic as well.
Okay, so let's move on to how to calculate our personal year. And so, as you mentioned to us, and we talked about the last couple of times, was the personal year is more of what is this year going to represent for you, and what can you do to help prepare for that year. And it's interesting because when we calculated our years, and I went and started to study those numbers, it was pretty spot on. And it was like, oh, that's why I'm going through these different scenarios right now. Oh, it's supposed to happen that way based because I'm in this 2-year cycle, and then next year is gonna be completely different. But it was fascinating. And so the way we're gonna do that for you guys, or you're still doing your calculations, have your pen and paper out. So this is, you calculate your own numbers with this, is you add up your birth month, your birth day, and the current year. So it's a little bit different than the life path. Life path would be your birth year. Your personal year calculation would you add up the current year, which would be 2020.
So you add up the day first, then the month, then the year.
So again, if your birthday again was on May 12th, again, look at the order, it's 5/12, then that's the way you would put it. And then as before, you add up those numbers. And like in this example, you get a 12. So again, we're going to reduce that. We're going to reduce that to 1 + 2 = 3. So now that would mean that your personal year would be 3. Did I miss anything there, Darius?
Let's see. And take my magnifying glass out. Hold on.
He's my editor. He's correcting my quiz.
One. Yep, it looks good.
All right. Everybody says I'm good. I'm right. So that would be your personal year. And then the personal year, like you mentioned, is it's going to tell you kind of what the theme of the year is going to be.
Yep. So that 3, that personal year 3, yep, it's going to tell about the influences of that year. It's going to have to do with opportunities, situations related to 3 energy, socializing with groups, integrating. You're going to need to express yourself. You're going to be needing to do all these things that allows you to really bring out your creativity.
So if you guys do all your numbers and calculate these, and then plug in your own dates and put those numbers here into the feed. Let us know, what is your life path number? What is your personal year number that you calculated? And if we have the time, we'll talk more about that here today. So let's move on to the next one that we calculate. So we have your life path number. We have how to calculate your personal year and what that represents for you. Our next one is going to be how to calculate your personal month. And so we're just moving down the line here. And the way we're going to do that is, go ahead, Veronica.
So for personal month calculation, you take your personal year number and add the current month number. So example, so personal year 3, and then so you add June, which is 6. So if your 3 + 6 is 9. And then so personal month would be 9.
So
so pretty simple math. You know how to add, you're doing pretty good.
See, you don't have to know calculus. You don't have to, be some genius.
But it just helps you to understand. So here's how you guys do that. So hopefully this is a better visual for you. Okay, so that's how you calculate your month. And so before we get into the personal day, you might guess how we're going to do that, because we got some questions and some people that are very interested right now. Is let's go through the day. Let's go through the calculation first, and then we'll go into numbers, and we'll get out of the presentation here. So let's do the day. Let me go back over here.
So personal day calculation. So you take your personal month number and add the current day number. So in that case, it was the month of 9. And then so today's the 25th. So 9 + 25. You break it down. 9 + 2 + 5 is 16. And then you break down the 16, which is 7.
Always take it down to that single digit.
Yeah, single digit. So personal day would be 7.
So that's how you calculate your personal day. So you guys also calculate your personal days, and then let us know what it is here in the feed, and we'll talk about what's in store for you today.
So like if your personal day today is 7, tomorrow would be 8, right?
I believe so. Is that correct?
It kind of moves up.
If your personal day was 7, then what was that? One more time.
I said tomorrow it would add up.
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and it just goes up.
So
yes.
it's like, right? It'll go in order and then reverse back, and everybody has their own order, correct?
Yep. And that it works just like that, like a clock.
Got it. Okay. So I hope that is a good visual for you guys. Hope you are taking notes and got that down. I'm going to take this off. If you need me to bring this up here again, we will. I'm going to bring us back here to the feed just for a moment. And so there we go. We're back. So let's go to the comments. So we're talking about our personal day. And what does that personal day, how can someone use that number for their day?
So a person can use that number for their day to have an idea of what to expect. Now, it's really interesting that as far as that personal day, the one that you chose to add and calculate gave you a result of a 16/7. That's one of the ones that we actually look for to see, when a growing day might be, right? We might receive a opportunity for growth on that day, and it can give us a potential test when we see that 16/7, and it can also give us a great period of peace. It basically is an opportunity to see where you've gotten to that point. So. And there's other factors that will determine it. But bottom line is this: if you have a personal day 7, that's probably going to be a time where you're going to just feel like, taking time to yourself, relaxing, reading a book. You might not want to be around the public so much. You might just want to be to yourself, secluded. If it's a personal day of 3, then it's going to have you more in a social setting or more an opportunity to express yourself or communicate will come up. If it's a personal day 4, that's going to be a day for you to really be structuring things.
Okay.
Case in point, if you know that if you're going to use this, right, and you want to set up a job interview, and you have someone says, hey, look, you want to do this job interview? Here we have this space. What day works best for you? You can calculate those and find out and say, hey, you know what? If I want that job, maybe I should calculate and do it on an 8-day. Because what is 8? 8 is connection. 8 is related to power. 8 is about it's related to interaction with others. So you might choose that particular day, since that is going to carry the energy supportive of the thing you're going to be doing on that day.
Okay.
If you're going to go and if you're like, hey guys, let's do our seminar. We're planning a day for a seminar. You're probably going to choose 7 because 7 is learning and teaching, and spirituality is science. It'll be an opportunity to develop spiritually and to help people develop spiritually.
Now I'm understanding why when we decided to put this show on, that we said, hey, we'll start it on this Friday. And you were kind of thinking in your mind, oh, that's a good day because all these other days may not be a great day. It was just
right.
the way to do it. Now I understand why you did it that way, that, oh, this would be a good day to do that. And it was like a week after, I believe, that we talked about doing this show.
And also the moon cycles are something to do with the moon. Yeah.
It goes a little more in depth, right? So this thing we talk about rabbit holes. So let's go back for just a moment. We got a lot of people joining in with us and also commenting. So Robert Shallow says, so mine is 7. Now this was a little further back, so I just had to recap on what was the calculation for? Was that for your life path? Was that for your personal year, your month, or your day, Robert? If you're still here, type it in what that represent, and we'll let you know what that 7, because it's now if it's a 7 number, Darius, is that universal for all of the different calculations, or is it different for life path, month, year, day?
So if I'm understanding your question correctly, the number 7, the universal meaning of the number 7 is going to apply the energy. It's a vibration.
Okay.
So wherever they find that vibration of number 7, that is what will be manifesting, for if it's a month, if it's a year, or if it's a day, or if it's an expression, or wherever it falls. That is the vibration that they're emitting.
Okay.
Within
so
that
was his personal year. That's what it was.
So the whole year is going to have 7 energy, or he's going to be seeing a lot of 7 energy for that.
So, so what I'm going to say is this: everyone that is asking the question, I'm going to presume that you've added it correctly. Okay. So I'm going to assume that you've added it correctly. If you notice any differences, just double check, make sure that it's been added correctly. But if you came to a 7 for the personal year, then it would be let's see, for you, it would be a time where it'll be like a recharge. You're doing a lot of internal processing of things. It's like a reflection, really reflecting, because 7 is the mind. 7 is the mind. It's air. Air is the mind. You're thinking. A lot of activity. If you look at the shape of the 7, it's like that. And so what that means is, think of it from Earth going and staying up here. That's where a lot of the focus of the energy is going. It's going from boom up there. 7 is that perfect day in the Bible. It's the day where God rested. See, God doesn't get tired. Right? So it didn't mean that God was like, oh, I'm tired, I need a rest. It was more so God took a look at all the works that he had done, depending on what, religious tradition you come from. And he said, I'm gonna really look at what I created, and I'm gonna admire this. It's where you can go out and admire nature. You can admire the works that you've done between the vibrations of 1 through 6. 7 is where you do reflection. It's that period of rest. You've worked, vibrate on numbers, the vibration 1 through 6. You've done all those things. 7 is where you're like, okay, I'm going to look back and reflect, analyze. How can I move forward? Why are you going to analyze and why are you going to reflect during 7? Because the most active energy is the one that follows, and that's the 8. And all the recharging that you're doing during the 7 vibration is getting you ready for the 8 vibration that's going to have you much more active. Going to have you more outgoing, being more interactive with people, and all these things like that.
Now, there's a couple things just for clarification, because there might be a couple different schools of thought. And one of them is this concept of when that personal year starts. I've heard some that say it starts January 1st through December 31st. And I think what you have mentioned to us is it's your birthday. The day of your birthday until your next birthday would be your personal year cycle. Which one? They might have some validity to each one, but which one do you tend to follow the most? Is that the birthday to birthday?
I like that question, because that is also a question. I think that's a question that everybody that is on there that studies numerology will have at some point. The best way to learn that is by personal experience and watching it yourself.
Okay.
So what I've observed in my experience, month from the actual birthday, from the actual birthday to birthday. Okay. There's other factors that happen that affect certain things as well. But think about it this way. We talk about numbers, which is that's what these things are. These symbols, right? These symbols, they're numbers. But what are the symbols of? They're symbols of vibration. So vibration's gradual. It's the law of vibration. So even before a personal year starts, you're going to feel the vibration of it gradually approaching. and getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And then it fully activates on the day of your birth. The closer to your day of birth, the more it becomes active.
Okay.
Now, in certain books, there are authors that will strongly promote that it's boom, it starts on the first day of the year. Why? Because literally, it's literal. It's, going based on the literal physical number. No problem with that. But observing it through, actually observing it and seeing what you notice, you would notice more shifts and changes approaching the closer you come to your birthday.
So, sorry. Go ahead.
So that's why you talk to a lot of people, a lot of big things and shifts and changes happen right after their birthday or right before their birthday or right on their birthday, because things are getting activated.
So I was going to say, so if your birthday is like December 31st, so that whole year leading up to your birthday, the energy isn't as strong until after your birthday. So it's really like the following year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's a cool question, because it introduces this interesting concept of, it's almost like a delay. So people who have a birthday in November, even now, if someone watching has their birthday in November, then that means this whole year they're still experiencing the energy vibration of 2019 until after their birthday.
Yeah.
Now, this was not something that I was going to bring out in that first video about the personal year that we did, but this was the perfect time to bring out that question.
Got it.
And because that's what we're taking into factor. So now people are going back and looking and like, oh man, did I calculate that right? And that's why I said, I'm going to presume that everyone has calculated their personal years correctly.
Yeah.
All right.
Got it. Okay. And so I hope for Robert, when he said he's in a 7-year, does that make sense at all for you? And let us know here into the comment feed. Tiffany puts the word B. Not sure what that represents. Hopefully maybe it's a typo, and if it's a B or an 8, let us know. Stacy Ellen says 7 is a spiritual number. Lots of growth, solitude on 7s. We had a hard time living in a 7 house.
Ooh.
Now we're in a 6 home and love it.
Yeah, 6
sounds like Stacy knows some stuff about numerology.
So I guess because you can use numbers for homes, right? Your address, your phone number.
You can.
And so I guess that could be.
We're in a 6 home.
Are we?
If you add up just the digits of like the address.
Yep.
Interesting.
And that's a lot of realtors use numerology in their housing.
Okay.
And what Stacy just said is brilliant, because what she's bringing to light, and what she's bringing to light is the fact that your home will influence the things that go in it. 7 is a spiritual number. It's going to be favorable toward spiritual pursuits. It's going to be favorable toward monasteries, spiritual healing centers, things like that, and other things too. You'll be surprised what you'll find in a 7 house. 6 home is what 6 family, love, harmony, domestic home life. It's a really good home to raise a family in. There's an idea too that you can try called, this is what we call remedies. It's called number patching.
Well, hang on. This can take us a whole nother rabbit hole. In fact, let's save this for a complete different show, because we have so much content that we're going to go on. This is only our 4th episode. I do want to focus on our topic of the day, which is our personal day. So let's go back to the day real quick, because I want to tease you guys I'm not getting so deep into this because we can go deep, right, Darius? And we sometimes
Yes.
when we're done with the show, we talk for like over an hour and a half just on numbers.
And
we realize where did the time go because we get so lost in it. So let's go back for just a second. So if you guys are just tuning in, you guys are watching Divine Numerology. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendes Garcia.
And I'm Darius Oliver.
And Darius is our expert numerologist here, sharing his thoughts and his wisdom on how can we use our numbers in our life and how we calculate those. So let me just go back for a moment. I'm going to take this. I'm going to do this quick little screen share on how we calculate our personal day. And so if you guys have been following along with us, you take your personal month number and then you add the current day. So again, today is the 25th. So if you came up with a personal month of 9, add the day of 25, and you see the calculation 9 plus 2 plus 5 is 16, which has a specific meaning, but then 1 plus 7 is 7. So your personal day would be 7. We were talking about the 7 today. Mm-hmm. And from what I heard earlier from you was we can use these numbers, and we're talking about the personal day today, of how can we plan things better for each day. Some days might need to be a day of reflection and solitude, maybe study, maybe some more meditation today, or, tomorrow might be the best day to go out and do more activities and interact with people, correct?
Yep.
And so for you guys that are watching, did you calculate your personal day? So do this calculation. If you need to go back and figure out how to calculate the personal month, let us know. And we'll go back just for a moment. But what is your personal day for today? And you can also use that. What's your personal day for tomorrow? Just add another number. So if today is your personal day of 7, tomorrow would be a personal day of 8 for you. Let us know what that is, and we can show you what that day what kind of energy that day can have for you.
I believe mine is 6. Personal day 6 today.
So she's a personal day 6 today. So let's talk about that just for a moment.
So for personal day 6, that would be family, love, family, harmony, also vision and acceptance. The thing with 6 is that it is the number of material perfection. 6 is number of material perfection. And it 6 rules the material world. In astrology, the number 6 corresponds to Venus. And that's why 6 rules everything of beauty. 6 rules things of the cosmetic world. 6 also can have to do with cooking, hair, cosmetics, luxury, material earnings. And anything of these nature, nurturing. Like if you look at the number 6, it's a mother. It looks like a mother who's carrying a baby. It also looks like a man that has a full belly because he ate good, because his wife made a good meal for him. You see, I
don't know if I'm in a personal day 6. I haven't done my numbers yet.
He's thinking about it. He's like, let's see. But with that in mind, if a person was looking at that day, that'd be like, hey, maybe that'd be a good day for a picnic. Kind of relax with the family, go out and do something, have some fun. And that might be a good day for that. Anything that has to do also with taking care of responsibilities and duties, because 6 is that. 6 is also vision. It's art, because Venus is beauty, so it's appealing to the aesthetics, visual beauty, visual. Venus, different colors that are associated with Venus, like the color green is associated with Venus. White in astrology is associated with Venus. So different colors too can play into this, right? Here we go, rabbit hole. So these are all different factors that come into play. And so it says, Robert Shallow, he says that his personal day is also a 7.
But hang on for a second, because you mentioned you're going to assume that he's doing his calculations correctly. And he says, wrong answer. Personal day is 1 today.
I think you're a 1 today too.
Am I?
Yeah.
So what would the 1 represent for today? So again, he was doing his numbers and had to go back. And so he realized he's not a 7, he's a 1.
Okay, so his personal day is a 1 today.
Assuming he did it right.
Assuming that everything was done correctly. 1 is 1. If I'm looking at a 1 as a personal day, you know what? I'm probably going to need to be out in the spotlight on that day. Probably going to need to take charge. I'm going to need to take action. I'll need to move quickly, and I'll have to start something or take the initiative on something. I may have to check myself and make sure that I'm not allowing my sense of self-importance to take hold of a situation, but also I need to check myself to make sure that I'm not limiting myself based on some false or faulty, thing from the past that makes me think that I'll have the same result as a past situation, allowing my ego to get in my own way. It's about going with our instinct. So I might have to go with my instinct on that day, because 1 is your first thought. Always go with your first mind, right? That's the instinct. So I might need to go with my first thought on that day. And if I come across a business opportunity, man, that's cool, because 1 is the entrepreneur number. I might get an opportunity, or I'll be able to create an opportunity for myself. Oh, there's that business. You know what? That might be a really good day to start that business and really hit the ground running and have the momentum from what's the planet that rules the sun, or let's not even say planet. What's the celestial body that rules the sun? The number 1, it's the sun. Mm-hmm. So action-oriented, active. The first card in the deck in the tarot is the Magician. He's got that wand. He's like, let's go. He's like, boom, he's got that wand. It turns into a whip, makes that horse carriage take flight and move. So I might have to do that on a personal day 1 as well. So
interesting.
Actually, I think you're a 6.
Am I 6? You did your calculation. I saw you looking over here doing the calculation.
Wait
in your
a minute.
head.
I think I got it wrong.
Now I know that there's a lot of different variables that play into these numbers. These are general guidelines of what that can represent, but your number has energy that can affect what that day as well, your personal month. So everything is going to affect everything. So it's like those are just some general guidelines, correct?
Right.
If you want to go deeper, then that's where you speak directly.
I can't help it. I can't help it, man. I can't help it. I'm a 7. I go deep. That's what I do. But I try to keep it simple. I do the best that I can. But yes, keeping it simple. And if you guys do want to go deep, definitely, there's a time and a place, and we can make that happen.
Yeah, and Darius can do your whole entire number chart just on you. If you want to have that opportunity to talk with him over the phone, you can give him all your numbers and calculations. He'll give you like a 6 or 8 page document of what everything calculates and represents, and then you can really fine tune how you can use these in your own personal life. And again, these are just guidelines, but a lot of times I found that they're pretty spot on.
They are.
But it's working with them and practicing them and having your own experience with them. And that's what you were talking about earlier, Darius, was, base it on how you feel and what your experience is. But we have to pay attention to it.
Exactly. You, at first, you learn through the books, you learn through the videos, and they show you what to expect as you observe. A lot of this is observational. So you're going to be doing a lot of your learning by what you personally experience. And that's how we've actually come to the body of knowledge that we do have with numerology and astrology. It's from observing it.
Interesting. And Robert, because he has a book that he puts out there, and it's called The What If Theory. And he always has these interesting questions. And one of his questions would be, what if I took action on my daily numbers? How can this make a difference in my life? So it's more of a food for thought for all of us of like, what would happen if we actually used our numbers in our daily life, what would show up? What would happen in our life? What would be different? Tiffany said.
Go ahead.
Tiffany says, is there a book that explains all the numbers in detail that you recommend?
Yes, I highly recommend this book. The entire series. I have all his books. This is actually my personal mentor. This is volume 1 of the King's Book of Numerology. This is Fundamentals and Foundations. Oh my gosh, I cannot recommend this book enough. I personally speak to the author. Here's volume 1. I've read numerology books. I've read deep numerology books. Those deep numerology books have deep stuff in it. But this has stuff in it that I haven't seen. And this is volume 1, and he goes all the way up to volume 12.
Oh wow. So you guys, this go gets
advanced principles.
So like once a month you can read a book or whip the
Richard King. So that's the option.
He told me, because I talk to him on a regular basis, he told me, hey Darius, take one book, study it for 6 months. Study it for 6 months. Study that one book for 6 months. And then move on to the next one. And that's the best. That's a really good way to learn it. He always says, don't rush yourself in the process. Don't rush yourself in the process of learning this. It is a gradual life learning process. It's observational because numbers are everywhere in your life. You're always going to be dealing with it. His name is Richard Andrew King.
Got it.
And you can find his books on Amazon. He's got 12 volumes, and I have them right here. I will show you, but we don't. I think our time is limited, so we might have to do that another time.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we'll keep sharing that with you guys. And so before we leave today, let's do just one last quick recap for those who are just tuning in. Maybe you showed up a little bit later on and trying to figure out how do I figure out all of this stuff. Let's bring this up for you one more time. I'm going to bring this up here on our screen. So there's different calculations that we've talked about over the last couple of episodes we've done here in Divine Numerology. And one is your life path number. So this is your life number, how you calculate that. And you add up your birth date. You take your day plus your month plus your year. So here's the example. Again, if you're born on, this is May 12th, 1974. Here's how you add up all those numbers, every single digit. You get up to a 29. You want to reduce that to a single digit. As far as you can go, in this case, it would be a number 2. So that person would be a life path 2. That has meaning to it. The next one we have would be how to calculate your personal year. Let me go here. There we go. I'm just going to bring it all up here.
So personal year, you add up your birth day plus your birth month, and then the current year. So example, the example is the day 12 for May is 05, and then you add 2020.
So it's not December 5th. It's May. So the month is actually instead. I made a little typo here at the top, but so 2020. So add up all those numbers. So your birth month. So you take your birth day, the day itself, plus your month, and the current year 2020. Reduce that to the one single number, and you get a personal year, which in this scenario would be a personal year 3. Next, we would have your personal month calculation. And I'll let Darius take you through this.
Personal month, you take your personal year that you arrived at in the last screen, and you add that to the current universal month that we're experiencing. In the example, you have that personal year 3 plus the personal month 6 gives you a personal month as 9. Excuse me, I'll say that again. Personal year 3 plus universal month 6 gives you personal month 9.
So it'd be a 9 month. And you could do your calculation there. So make sure you guys, if you can't write it all down, you can go back and watch the replay and get all this. And the last thing we talked about today was how to calculate your personal day.
So personal day, you take your personal month number and add the current day. So like today, like say, from the previous example, the month was 9, the personal month was 9, you add 25.
Because today is the 25th.
Today's the 25th. And then tomorrow you'd add 26. So 9 plus 2 plus 5, 16. You break down the 16, 1 plus 6 is 7. So the personal day would be 7.
And then each of those numbers have a meaning, and there's tons of references out there that you can look to see what that would look like. Yeah. And we just gave you one today, which is that King's Numerology, 12 volumes.
Totally recommend it.
if you decide you want to go deeper into that. So that's how you calculate all your numbers that we've talked about so far. So I hope you guys have followed along with us. Hope that has made a lot of sense for you guys. And I'm going to bring us back up here. And I hope this has been a very fun show and an insightful show for you guys. And we're going to do this every single week on Thursdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. If you guys would like to join us and learn more about this with our co-host Darius and Veronica and I, is you turn on the live notification button here in the feed if you're watching on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, you subscribe to the channel and click that little bell notification so you always get reminded when we have a new video posted up. All right.
We are out of time.
We are out of time. Thank you guys for joining here with us today. We really appreciate you. If you're watching the replay, type your comments. Let us know how this has been helping you. Any insights, let us know your numbers. Let it hear in the feed, and we're going to go more next week.
Yeah, so post your personal day in the feed, and then we'll get back to you, and Darius can let you know what that represents for you.
And if you guys want a personal reading to go in depth, we can set up a consultation. You can reach me on Facebook. My name is Darius Oliver on Facebook. And that's how you'll be able to reach me, direct message, and I'll be able to contact you. Also, I have a YouTube channel where I've been coming up with videos breaking down the meanings of a chart. Mm-hmm. Like what's a life path number? What's an expression number? What's a performance, reality experience number? And all these different things like that. You can check that out on my page as well. Divine Numerology.
And we'll make sure that we put those links here into the comments as well so people can have access to that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. All right. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Peace.